All right, Monday, 17th of April 2023. Going to have a pre-US look ahead here. So what we're seeing across the board has been equities, a bit of a rough day on Friday. Some positive data coming through, bank earnings showing that these banks are not in a tremendously terrible situation despite the banking crisis. Huge flows of deposits into JP Morgan and the other SIBs, systematically important banks. And so, a bit of two-way action, putting in, highs here and then fresh, big new lows, and then kind of settling back towards where we were essentially on the electronic open on Friday for the SPOOs. So I think this bid up is getting a little bit tired at the moment. Does that mean the sort of bull trend is dead? No, but it just means that there may be food for a little bit of a pullback and a bit of calming down to occur here in these markets. So let's see what we can get on these markets here. So let's just open this up again. So yeah, 41.18s, generally finding those bids there. Thursday, Friday, getting that doji there, and so probably room for a pullback today. How far could that go? Well, that will remain to be seen. A very quiet day on the cards, and pretty much a quiet week as we look forward here. So I don't really want to forecast too much today. Let's just use today as a bit of a quiet one and see how she trades, and then we can kind of make better judgments as we go further through the week. The DAX as well, kind of getting up here, putting in a sort of a high above the 16,000 level, just a little lower here. High above that 16,000 and then down here on the pullback, looking for PVAH. So let's see what we can get. But again, just want to reserve a bit of judgment here. Probably be looking for longs around the 15,870s, the yearly plus 1.5, something like that, But again, probably don't need to do much today, given that it's a pretty quiet day and a week ahead. News stories, nothing really jumping out at me on the news stories. I mean, the talking heads will always look for one. So oil, I think we're going to have a pretty interesting pullback on oil around 80-70s to quite an important area for us here. We'd be looking for the longs on a push down to here. If the longs fail here, I think we're going to have a pretty decent pullback then to 79.39s, and then we'll assess what we're going to do there. But we're also going to have a very key eye on what happens on the $80 handle here, which is generally where the gap up opened. So, I think all eyes in the market are on this big old gap, and should it fill or not? I don't think it needs to fill at this time. I think over the course of, the following months, it may, but I don't think we're going to kind of position or our view every day until then as towards, right, we're just going to be short this thing, looking for the gap to close. So yeah, that's really it on oil. So some key levels to be aware of on the black stuff here. So looking for longs 80-70s if we do get that pullback there. So and then the dollar, the dollar is getting beaten up at the moment because everyone's talking about its demise, and when is the dollar going to be not the world reserve currency? Lots and lots of talk and articles about the yuan now becoming the sort of dominant currency. Everyone who's read the latest Ray Dalio books is, of course, going to be absolutely frothing at the chops about that concept and about the new world order and blah blah blah. I don't know. I just don't know. But one thing that did pique my interest around this topic. And why, at every other point when this conversation has come up about, de-dollarization, especially when we printed something like 40% more dollars. Sorry, hold on. In COVID, when we printed 40% more dollars than were in existence up until that point, that was quite a big topic at the time. But yeah, nothing happened, and the dollar, of course, was strong, 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 right? Here we are, 2021, 2022, up she went. So very hard to kind of take that trade of the dollar is dead, right, over that talk. But when you get Christine Lagarde talking over the weekend about she would be very surprised if the US government was to default on their debt, it does start to kind of raise the interest in, well, hold on, what is happening with the dollar and what is happening with trade on the yuan and the BRIC nations, Brazil, India, getting on board with that. And people moving out of the dollar for international trade. Sick of the sanctions, and look, either which way, I don't think it's a tradable concept, right? I just don't think it's a tradable concept. What is the trade? I don't know. Short the dollar. Well, good luck with that. All right, good luck with that. Because this thing will take you to school. I mean, long the euros. I think one way to play it, the trade would be, buying deep pullbacks on the euro. I generally like further upside for the euro over the rest of this year. But you got to pick your places to be a buyer, right? So looking at the euro, here you go. So buyer up here, hell no, definitely not. But buyer on, say, pullbacks to 1.08 or 1.09745s. Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's just going to be down here today. So yeah, maybe. But I think you're getting generally supports are trying to come in on the 101 spot 50s here on the Dixie. And it can certainly rally back up to the 102 spot 40s, I think, at the moment. Okay. All right. That's it for me for another pre-US. Listen, quiet day today. Some stuff coming through the rest of this week, but not the biggest week we've seen to be active in these futures markets. All right. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Cheers.